A few years ago, we decided we didn't want travel to be a once-a-year thing anymore. Since then, we've spent about 8 months on the road, working remotely, living lightly, and learning how to travel at our own pace. To make that happen, it meant changing how we work. So in this video, we're going to share 5 ideas, including the one that we use to help you travel more in your 40s and 50s. Unless you're just waiting to retire. You're not just waiting to retire, are you?
Let's start with the path we chose, transitioning to freelance work. Previously, both of us were full-time communications employees, and even though we had great jobs with plenty of amazing benefits, we felt like carving out the ability to travel was more important to us. So we left our jobs and went freelance, and so far it's working out. We make less money, but that's okay because ultimately it's not about how much money we make, but about how rich our lives feel. So if you, like us, are in a field where freelancing is an option, making that transition can give you the flexibility to work from anywhere. If it feels like too big of a leap to go all in right at the beginning, you can start by taking on side projects to test the waters and build confidence while you're still in your role. That's exactly what we did. I left my job first, built up some experience, gathered a few clients, while Michael continued to work full-time, and then about a year later, he joined me on the freelance journey.
If you're a little bit older and you're technically able to retire, but you don't necessarily want to walk away from the work and you don't want to walk away from an income, there is a hybrid model you should think about, semi-retirement. We call it pre-tirement. Instead of waiting for traditional retirement, you kind of create this flexible lifestyle where you still earn, but you have a lot more freedom to travel. So how would it work? Well, maybe you could just cut back to a few days a week at your current job or find a totally different part-time job, and then you combine that income with your investments, properties, any other passive income stream you might have. The ultimate goal is to reduce your dependency on one full-time job. That will give you much more freedom to travel.
Of course, not everyone wants to leave their job completely, and you might not have to. Remote work is becoming more and more normalized, even in traditional workplaces. So if you are in an office-based role where you can work remotely, why not consider pitching it for part of the year? Start small. Ask to work remotely for a week or two and prove that you can be just as productive, or pitch it as a way to increase your motivation and creativity. Sometimes a change of scenery is all you need to spark some new ideas. We know people who've successfully negotiated remote work opportunities in all kinds of places at companies that just 5 or 10 years ago would have said no. And if that's not an option where you are, you might consider moving to an organization where working remotely is a bit more ingrained in the culture. It can be a bit of a leap, but it might just be the leap you need to make travel a bigger part of your life.
And if you're not quite ready to change jobs, there still might be ways to find some flexibility in your current job. One way is to ask for a sabbatical. And you know what? You might be surprised at how open your employer is to the idea of a sabbatical, especially if you've been around for a while and you've shown your value and they like you and you have a great relationship there. You can frame it as something that's good for them by saying, you know, this is going to re-energize me, this is going to refresh me so that I can offer more to the company. They might be open to that, especially if they know you're going to come back stronger, recharged, refocused, and ready to go.
And even if you're staying in a traditional full-time role, you can still find ways to travel more often. You just have to be strategic. Not everyone can drop everything to travel full-time, and you don't have to. There are all kinds of ways that you can build more travel into your daily life. Take advantage of public holidays, combine vacation days with remote work opportunities, and focus on traveling to fewer destinations for longer periods of time. Slow travel not only saves money, but allows you to truly immerse yourself in the culture. Even a 1 or 2 week trip can feel expansive when you're not rushing from place to place and you're able to fully sink in and just be where you are.
Before we wrap up, here's one bonus idea we think is pretty important as well, and that is reframing how you think about travel. Travel doesn't have to be a big, expensive trip across the ocean, a big major event. It could be a long weekend in a nearby town, or going out to the cabin, or on a road trip to somewhere you've never explored, even if it's just a couple of hours away. When you shift your mindset from travel has to be a major event to travel is anything that gets me out of my routine, it really opens the door to more adventure.
One thing to definitely remember in terms of trying to travel more is that you are probably going to have to try and fail a few times to figure out what works best for you, especially if you're trying to travel and work at the same time. It's messy, it can be really challenging at times, and we are still absolutely trying to find the right balance and the right way to set this up so that it works for us on a regular basis. So I think the important thing to remember is that you just have to keep trying. Don't give up. If traveling and working on the road, if traveling more, if making it a bigger part of your life is something that is truly important to you, you just have to stick with it and trust that you will figure out a way that works for you to do it.
We hope this gave you a few ideas and maybe even a little inspiration as you explore ways to add more travel to your life. If you're looking for even more inspiration on how to travel more after 40, hit subscribe. We share videos about travel, working while away, and making the most of our midlife adventures. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.